Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, every Saturday we have a lot to talk about, and we'll be talking Sixers today and other things that are going on in the world of sports. But we'll even talk some Eagles, although I'm going to be talking Eagles with a little bit of a caveat because, to be honest about it, I do not know if we're going to have football this season. In the studio with me today is my man, Dr. Paul Hopkins, who is going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about the coronavirus and its impact on sports. And, one of the things that I am with the NFL, we've seen the NBA. The NBA seems to have a grasp of that situation. We've not heard of too many incidents of people coming down with the coronavirus. Meanwhile, the National Football League, as of this past Thursday, 67 players are opting out. And there was a tweet. There was a tweet that I saw yesterday on, obviously on Twitter, that I thought kind of said the whole thing. Deion Sanders apparently was taking a shot at guys who were opting out. And one of the things he said was, hey, the game is going to go on without you. To which, one of my esteemed colleagues from sports reporting, a former Sporting News reporter, David Steele, basically came out with a quote saying, "I'm bigger than the game," quote, "signed the coronavirus." And so from that standpoint, Dr. Paul, we look at the National Football League. In football, guys are in close quarters. Like, you and I right now separated from one another and all that because we got our masks on. And, in football, guys are up on you, offensive line, defensive line. What in the heck is football and NFL? What are they thinking? Are they crazy?
Exactly. Chris, thank you so much for having me on, and I think that's an excellent point. How do you actually deal with a lineman that's 200 or 300 pounds in their face constantly? Every play is contact. Spit, sputum, everything that we talk about is particulates.
Sweat, blood.
Sweat, blood, and everything else. That's part of the, the tundra. When you're playing football, you're in the trenches. How do you actually socially distance? You can't. There's no possibility. I think we're compromising, looking for a compromise in an uncompromisable situation. I think football needs to shut it down. There's no way that you can possibly do that. Think about it. Once one team has one person that tests, season's over almost, because they're going to shut it down. You're going to have to do like baseball is going through right now. Right. Baseball is going through that same thing where they're going to say, wait a minute, we got to shut it down. No games for 3 or 4, 4 days until we clear this out. So, yeah, you're right on point, man. We need to shut it down.
Briefly, tell me, kind of go over the effects. It's all been in the news, but the coronavirus basically attacks your respiratory system,
right?
And makes it. And now, granted, people who are older, I'm not gonna say how old I am. People who are old heads will get it worse. But how can it affect? It can affect young people,
Absolutely.
but that disease has the potential to have long-term effects.
That's right. It's upper respiratory. Upper respiratory is top of the lungs. Cool place of the lungs. That's where the body has the ability to not resonate at a certain temperature. They know that the coronavirus cannot resonate at certain temperatures. So when you lose heat in that upper part, that's why it affects the upper part of the lungs. And from that virus actually has the ability to replicate. That's the viral load based on what it does. So what's happening is you got to keep that, the blood and the blood temperature and the body's temperature high. So now it allows the body to now resonate at a frequency higher, because when you talk about when someone gets infected, first thing they do, temperature rises. That's the body reacting to trying to burn that out of you.
Right.
It's trying to burn that poison out of you. So it raises the body temperature. That's why they're checking everybody's temperature, thermometer, see if they're raising. But that's their body's reaction to the virus. So what do we have to do? We have to start to go back to building the immune system. Build the immune system by getting the herbs that actually deal with that. That's what we say on our side. You can do things like, mullein teas, not to diagnose, treat, or cure anything we say, or, prevent any disease. We just say give them the herbs and things that actually raise the body's immunity to clean out those lungs.
Yeah, you're an osteopathic medicine.
No, I'm a naturopathic.
Naturopathic.
Mm-hmm,
That's right.
naturopathic.
Remember, you told me that.
Yeah, that's right. Naturopathic means that we go with the body. So we feed the body and the body corrects itself. We move with it. We don't go against the body. That would be allopathic.
You think that they are? Do you feel they should be treating people and people who have that disease in that fashion, or?
Well, that's what we're doing. A lot of when the hospitals have no solution, they just tell you to go home, take some orange juice, take an aspirin, go home, lay down, and quarantine yourself. We say no, you can do something. And traditionally, we build the immune system. You got vitamin C, you have vitamin D, you have things like garlic. You have herbs that will build the immune system to keep those things up. You even have communicable herbs that actually block the ability for particulates. Those are things like olive leaf, olive leaf extract, things like that.
So, even though I'm a player in the bubble, and let's say the NBA, what are some things health-wise that people should be doing, even though they may not be getting the virus, but what are some things from a health perspective that helps you build your immunity to this virus? I mean, especially if you play a sport or you exercise and all that.
Yeah, I have a big, I see some of the diets of some of the professional athletes, and they're far from professional when it comes to the way they're eating. I've seen some of the, matter of fact, I got to look at some of our Sixers, man. I saw them getting on the plane, eating Chick-fil-A. I said, come on, man.
Leave the fast food alone.
Leave the fast food alone.
Man.
You're not a professional when you're eating food like that. You can't possibly. I think Embiid had a problem last year, having, getting up and down the court because he wasn't eating the proper news, and they had to back him up. But, this is the time you build the immune system. I think you should put all of the players on a special diet, immune-building diet. They should have it with those who are the nutritionists on the team.
Right.
They should have them all on a strict diet, because of the fact that you're dealing with the coronavirus, that you expose yourself to those elements.
Ladies and gentlemen, will remind you to call. If you want to call in, got a question for Dr. Paul, numbers are 215-634-8065. You got any questions, or 1-866-361-0900. Love to get your feedback. You can also follow us on Twitter at onWURD, and you can follow me on Twitter at C Murray Nation. I want everybody to kind of come out, and I want everybody to kind of to call in, because I know a lot of people have sports, and a lot of people have kids who are playing sports in the fall. Do you think that we should just shut it down for high school sports? Because a lot of people are concerned about, I know Zach Ertz talked about that the other day, about what's going to happen to the psyche of kids who are athletes and they're not able to play their sport anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be a thing. You know what, Chris? I believe that, for the sake of the long run, which means that the more you prolong this, the longer you extend the timeline.
Right.
You got it? So that's why when you hear them look at the numbers and they're saying the numbers are not going to yield the numbers that you need to restart these things. That's why they keep opening up down in Texas and places like California, they open up the bars and restaurants, and then next thing you know, 1 or 2 weeks later, they shut them down again. Yeah. Because this thing is uncompromisable. You got to take its course. There's this thing called a virus has to take its course, and that course is going to take a point where it has to wean out.
Right.
The problem is people, by socializing and not shutting it down, you're allowing it to keep on to now matriculate. It's going to start to continue to grow. People are going to get it for the first time. So what you're seeing in New York, in Texas, California, is now getting into the smaller towns.
Right.
For the first time. Then it's all over again. So if you shut it down, now you give it a chance to now take its course. Now weans out the system. Now we're going into a flu season that's picking up.
Right.
Now we're going from one season into the next season. I think if we're not careful, we're going to miss the window. And that window of opportunity is right now to shut it down.
Right. Well, I got to say this, though. You got 20-something in the NBA with all the games being played down at Disney World in Orlando. They seem to have the bubble situation under control. But how do you deal with that when you got 20-something young men who like to go out and party, like to go out and play, enjoy the celebrity status when you go to the club and everything. Going to the club. How do you keep? Because there's a mental. We talked about before we got on here the mental health aspect of this and the mental health cost of all this. Because when you're in your 20-something, staying home is never an option. Friday night happy hours and all that. And the players who got it in Major League Baseball, I think some of the Marlins went to a party, and I think some of the Cardinals players went to a casino.
They went to a casino. Come on, guys.
I mean,
come on.
I mean, how do you temper that 20-something angst to go out, socialize, and have a good time?
Exactly, because yes, the mental aspect of it is playing a role, not only just on the players, but everyone. You have people who are really starting to now. When you shut everything down, you can't get busy no more.
Right.
That's what the whole business is based on. Busyness.
Right.
Busyness. Business.
Right.
And when people are now moving, they now have to focus on inner self instead of extracurricular activities and things. So it's focusing people. So some people have a challenge with that. They're having a challenge with the NBA. I think they got a hold of it really early.
Right.
And they got them in the bubble and said, look, if we're going to get in this bubble, we're going to keep them in the bubble. But how long is that going to happen? That's the question.
Yeah, because
how long can you keep them in there? How long can you keep them going through isolation that they can actually say, well, I'm not going to go out. I got to stay here. I got curfew. I got this, do that.
Right.
Till the one person gets infected,
Right. Yeah, there was a case where I think Lou Williams went out to Magic City, down in Atlanta just to hang out, and that's just it's unconscionable. So, could we have prevented this? Could the country have done a better job at getting itself ready? Because I think that, and this is my theory of it, had the president and others said, look, we've got to take a national approach to solving this problem instead of just denying it, saying
you got it. That's where it comes from. It comes from the top.
Right.
If we had if this was taken very serious at the very moment it happened over in China and Wuhan and saw the effects, if we took the appropriate measures and not look at it as something that's going to blow over, oh yeah, these young children, it'll fall up, they'll fight this off. No, this is taking people's families.
Right.
This is taking people in their families and going through families. This is something that is to be taken very seriously, and it's not a hoax, y'all. This thing is real. When you get respiratory illness and disease, especially virus in your lungs, it will take the breath out of you. And then that will raise and it will cause other problems. I can speak with this highly because I had one time back years ago, I caught pneumonia. And that was because I was traveling back and forth from California to here. And when I caught that, I know that the worst thing is that you cannot breathe, man. When you are gasping for air and you just don't have it. And then I had a lung collapse. See, what people are not talking about is that the coronavirus has everything to do with lung collapse, too. We call that a pneumothorax, which actually means that you get a hole in your lung. Next thing you know, you can't breathe. You're going to have to put you on a form of a pneumothorax is actually going to have a chest. It's called a chest tube.
Wow.
So they're going to put that in your body, and man, the needle is like this long, just to insert. So the things that have to go with your lungs and the respiratory issues that are going on right now, you don't want that. And that's why we look at, I talked about today on my show, the digestive system, what you're eating.
Right.
That's why the NFL, in Major League Baseball, all the sports, they have to really start to look at special diets for these guys.
Because if you catch it, it affects people differently. But if you catch it, I wonder if you're an athlete, does it affect, if you get it, will it affect your ability to play or breathe and all that long term? Because going down the line, guy gets that disease. I mean, he could be, he might be healthy, but is he 100% ready to go back
to perform at
a professional level? And that's something I'm skeptical about.
I don't think that it's worth it, because now with the schedule being a limited schedule now with the NFL, with Major League Baseball, with NBA, I mean, they're trying their best to entertain folks, but really, at what cost are you putting it out there? Really, we got to shut it down, family. We really do. You really don't need. We can say, shut it down for the rest of the year, and then we'll look at this thing in January, in February, when the seasons are changing. Right now, we really need to be prepared. This is the time we in the natural field are preparing for the flu season.
Wow.
This is the time we say, cleanse every change of seasons. So we're preparing right now to get you ready for the flu season.
Right.
And that's what we do. So here we are in a pandemic. Now you got people who are wrestling with that issue. Now we got one going into the other. Not good. Not good.
For the person, this will be my final question. For the person who's a casual jogger who wants to walk, wants to get out of the house during this pandemic, I wonder if I gained a few pounds, not going out as much as I like to. What would you recommend? I mean, especially if you got a mask on. I mean, I tried to walk with a mask, and outside I couldn't breathe.
That's right.
But there was nobody outside, so I took it off because I felt that I was safe, So am I safe in that situation?
Yeah, well, keep in mind this difference between mask and respirators.
Right.
There's difference. See, a mask is just when you put a mask on or someone has a mask, it's just protecting them from you.
Right.
If you have a mask on, it's protecting someone else from that. But in a respirator, that's the one that basically what you have on right now is a respirator. What I have is a respirator.
Right.
These are what pulls out about 95% particulates, which means that these are for deeper levels of purification, whereas a mask is just to protect you, to block whatever's going out. So when you're jogging, you don't want to wear a respirator. That's why when you saw the one jogger in New York, he was jogging with a respirator, passed out. He passed out right there on the floor.
Wow.
And there's another lady that was driving with an N95. This is a KN95 I have. So this is the Asian version of the N95. And they actually passed out driving.
Wow.
People are passing out driving because what happens is when you're breathing with these masks, if you're out and about, if you're in a place where you can open up, by means take it off. You need that oxygen. Carbon dioxide builds up in the system if you have it on too long. And then that's when you're breathing back toxins back into the body. So that's not a good thing. So if you're jogging, make sure you're in the environment. But when you come in close contact, and if you're walking around and you're close to someone in the store or something, that's when you have it on. But when you're outside, out and about, get some air, family. If you're out in the park or something, you can take it off. Take your mask with you, but take it off.
Right. Well, Paul, I gotta say, I mean, I definitely appreciate your time here to talk about this because we're in the swing of sports. Football's having its training camp, and I'm trying to figure out why the NFL does not. I mean, they've not put out any plan that I know of. Maybe they have about what they're going to do during, because that was a question I asked the Cleveland Browns center, who's the president of the Players Association, J.C. Treader. What's going to happen when you guys, start slob knocking in the trenches. And you start knocking heads and all this other stuff? I mean, are you going to what's going to happen with that? Are you going to put stuff on the helmets? You can't shield that, but so much.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you give them space helmets or something. But
you know what? You just tapped on what I was telling my son the other day. I said the only way they're going to do it is they're going to have a special vacuum type helmet
Right.
that actually allows you to still get oxygen, but also be a filter at the same time. That would be a solve for them. But right now, no. You're going to be in the trenches, man. There's no way in the world a 350-pound lineman is going to be pushing every play and not get spit in your face or something. You know, that's just not going to happen. Okay. And then if you put a mask or shield on him, it's not going to work.
Okay. Dr. Paul Hopkins, I appreciate you. We're going to be talking about some other things in sports. I know you're a big Negro Leagues aficionado and all that. We're going to talk about black baseball, and I definitely love to have you on there for that. But but thanks for the knowledge today, because I am not a medical professional, and I'm not Dr. Fauci, and I can't tell you these things.
Yeah, you sound just like him.
So from that standpoint, I like Dr. Fauci, but from that standpoint, I want to, and I like the fact that you are a natural medicine, because I think, and I would like, and at some point I want to talk about these things as when sports does come back, how to prepare your kids nutritionally to play sports, and all these other things when they play, especially from the perspective of being natural in that situation,
which is going to give them make it better for them all the way around. Yeah.
Okay, ladies.
Thank you,
Paul. And ladies and gentlemen, we got to go to break. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word, no, not the station, but this word, J-O-B, that is, and our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Good. Okay, we are back. Wow. As we went to commercial break, before we get to Woody from the barbershop, I just got a note from ESPN. It says the American Athletic Conference, one of the schools in that conference is Temple University. Our own Temple University have reportedly circulated their own proposal to multiple schools within the conference, listing the concerns, and they're concerned about safety issues and the percentage of revenues. Sports Illustrated obtained the document, which also the student athletes are asking for hazard pay and everything, in case they have to play sports. Hazard pay. What do you guys think of that? I mean, if I'm the players, I don't blame them. I don't blame them, because I'm not going to get out there and endanger myself with this virus. And as you heard Dr. Paul, nah, man, I mean, that virus has long-term effects. Even if you get it and you're over it, I wonder what the long-term effects, how does it affect your lungs and your respiratory system moving forward? Woody from the barbershop, what's going on, man?
Another great program, man. I'm telling you, the barbershop loves you here. I'm telling you. You just got off with Dr. Paul. I understand when people put two and two together, out comes four. So I see you two guys working together, you and Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul, since sports is seasonal, he could be a great help to all the different leagues inside the NBA and NFL and so forth and so on. When he was talking about the mask, as he was talking about separating respirators, most people wear a mask. Now, back in the old days, I try to keep things simple, stupid, because my father and my grandfather, anybody, the elders would say, you don't so-and-so where you eat at.
Right.
In other words, you don't pass the waste where you eat.
Absolutely.
They separate the two things. So when you put these masks on, what you're doing is drawing in the waste that you're trying to blow out. God made your face clear so you could blow out carbon dioxide, which is your waste, breathe in oxygen, which is your food. You don't mix the two together, but in the mask, that's what happens. So that's why people are passing out. My daughter came by. She had did her jog, and she had the mask on. Don't jog with the mask on. She looked like her whole head was getting ready to explode. So you got to separate. God made your face open so you can breathe out carbon dioxide and inhale the nutrients of that oxygen. So if you don't know anything else about sports, you got to learn how to breathe. And without breathing, you can't play sports. You can't do much of anything else, even just walking. You need to take it off when you're by yourself or doing any exercise whatsoever. So I appreciate this program today, but brother, please see if you can hook something up with Dr. Paul and the whole system of sports, because every sport has its own season. And as he spoke to you, seasons change, and you're supposed to change as it relates to your metabolism.
Yeah, that's true. But let me ask you a question real quick. You're at the barbershop. How are you dealing with that at the barbershop, though? Because the barbershop is another one of those places in our community. It's a gathering place. It's like it's not the local bar. There's no drinking there, but unless your bar got drinks, if they do.
I don't drink, and the whole issue about health is this: defense. You got to think of it like a sport.
Right.
The key when I tell people when they come in here, we cannot talk. There will be, I call my whole concept barbershop talk. I miss talking to my customers. When you talk, that's when you're taking a chance of spreading this even going further. When people are in the shop, and I don't have but one person, no more than two, in the barbershop at the same time. So that's how I do it. They sit outside in the cars. You know, I have to have them to wait. So you have to remember, if you're going to defend yourself, you got to be on defense. Nobody's talking about defense. The defense is to build your immune system. You heard Dr. Paul talking.
Right.
If you build that immune system, this is why you need to share with them the information that helps to build the immune system are your fruits, your vegetables, your herbs. Things like this are mandatory if it relates to doing anything natural. What happens with all the other ways we do things, pharmaceutical drugs, they're not natural, but they make a lot of money.
Right.
Anything that makes money is the reason why they're keeping things the way they are. Wear this, wear that, but they're not telling you how to defend yourself by building your immune system with those natural things that can actually ward off the virus and keep it off of you. That's why so many people already have the virus. Asymptomatic. They have it. And they're walking around, they don't feel anything. So when I look at it from that perspective, you really have to watch yourself in case you don't have it. Build your own immune system up. So we have to have defense, otherwise you can't win the game.
One quick question, and I got to let you go.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Should we be playing NFL football or college football, or even high? Should we be playing any kind of football at this point with this virus?
Well, this is America, and capitalism is before humanism. And I'll leave that with you, so you can figure the rest out.
Okay, and I'll take that as a no, and I agree with you. I agree with you. Capitalism.
It's going to happen. They're going to do it. They're not. They don't. The money's first with this country.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
And human beings are otherwise.
It's all secondary. That's why I love Dr. Paul. He's putting things the way they used to be. The natives that used to be here before America, I refuse to call them Native Americans. They're natives before America. They live close to the earth. In all your educational structure in America, in these inner cities, they don't teach the kids science. They move science out. Well, this is a science how this whole thing works, and that's what's a part of us being closer to the earth. That the African people, we're all scientists, all the people that live close to the earth. So we got to get back to science in the schools, and we can start with Dr. Paul. I think that would really help if you could help get him into the groups as it relates to seasons in sports.
Okay. Thank you very much, Woody.
Yes, sir.
We got Brother Joe from Germantown. Joe, what's on your mind today, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing hello to you and your wonderful producer, DJ Frosty Phoenix. You know, Dr. Paul, your conversation with Brother Chris, your conversation with Dr. Paul was outstanding, and Brother Woody made some excellent points just now. Let me take it from this perspective. First, I did get the coronavirus examination about a flu score, came back negative,
Right.
so knock on wood. But I don't take it for granted because, like Brother Woody said and Dr. Paul said it too, you have to definitely build your immune system up. That's why I be taking my herbal supplements that Dr. Paul recommended. I eat my fruits and vegetables. I do all I can to keep my immune system. And I guess that's why I tested negative. But again, I don't rest on my laurels. I'm going to continue that regimen of keeping my immune system built up. As I said to you last week, Brother Chris, you know, I'm not saying Kobe's death was the cause, but it's saying after his death, it's like all this stuff started coming coincidental or what, and that's why my personal preference, I think all sports should be shut down. As much as I love football, basketball, baseball, hockey, all that, it should be shut down because no sport is worth your health. That's why I was glad to see some of the high schools and districts say they're not going to play sports this year because again, it's best to, like Dr. Paul, look at it from the long term, to cancel these things and get this vaccination or whatever they can to get this thing shut down, then come back next year fresh because nothing is worth somebody's health. But like Brother Woody said just now, this is a capitalist country. I know these owners are greedy. They just all about they're not worried about people's health. They worry about the bottom line, and that's why I was glad to see some certain athletes like the Eagles receiver Marquise Goodwin say, "I'm not going to play this year and jeopardize my newborn 5-month-old child's health." And I think, and the young man the guy that played for the Washington Nationals, I forgot his Zimmerman. He said he's not playing this year, and I don't blame him because again, Brother Chris, it's best that you lose some money than lose your life. Because I give an example how you don't think clearly how it can cost your life. You familiar with the legendary talk show host Mary Mason, correct?
Yeah.
Well, her son is a good example. Stephen Turner. He was in the hospital for a blood clot, and all he had to do was stay one more day. I remember like it was yesterday, Chris. The doctor said to Stephen, "If you stay one more day, the clot should be cleared up. You should have a free. You should be okay and stuff." But he wanted to leave. He insisted on leaving that same day because he had a big multi-million-dollar record deal in L.A. He had to fly to L.A. and they said we advised against it and stuff. He was scared he was going to lose out on that money. So you know, a hospital can't keep you, Chris. So he signed himself out.
Right.
And he went on to try to get to L.A. and he collapsed and died because the blood clot went right up to his brain and it killed him. Now he would have probably lost on that $1 million record deal and stuff had he stayed in the hospital, but he would have saved his life. Because my bottom line is this, Brother Chris: you can get more money gonna come. More money comes and goes. You may have been in a position where you could have got another record deal somewhere down the line. Even though you may have lost out on that one, but look, he lost his life, so he ain't gonna get no more record deals. You follow me, Chris?
No, right. Absolutely.
So I feel the same thing with the sports and stuff. Sure, players may lose money, owners may lose money, but see, the owners don't care. But it's the players that's out there, like Dr. Parsons, going to be sweating. Them the ones that's going to take a chance when you box and whatever. I mean, they're shutting stuff down and just do it next year because, again, nothing is worth your life, man, because you can't come back from death. You may lose some, and again, I know it's easy for some people to say, well, Joe, you saying that because you're not losing that money, but still, at the end of the day, life is life, man. So you may lose $1 million payday or whatever, but perhaps you lose your life and you go home to your children, your wife, and you spread this virus among them, and they catch it, or your elderly grandmother, grandfather, and they catch it and stuff, man. And you ask yourself at the end of the day, was it worth it, man? Was it worth it? And see, for me, Chris, and I close with this so other calls could get on, I've been trying, Lord knows, Brother Chris, I've been trying to watch sports, but I just can't get into it, man, because not to have fans. I know they use these little fan-controlled noises and stuff and showing fans. It's just not the same. I try to watch some of the NBA. My heart just not in it this year, Chris. If the Eagles, you know how I sound like the Eagles-Dallas Cowboys rival. If the Eagles and the Cowboys play tomorrow on Sunday, I can't get into it. My heart just not into it this year. That's why I say shut everything down, college, high school, pros, shut everything down and just bring it back next year, man. That's the way I feel. But I know I'm in the minority, so I understand that.
No, you are not in the minority on that. I mean,
no.
I don't think you are. And the thing is, you know, I made my living covering sports.
Mm-hmm.
I've fed myself and my family, you know, basically, you know, covering sports. And you know, and I love sports. I mean, I have a special connection to
I
sports.
feel your passion, Chris. I love your passion for sports, like I hear by, and your beautiful wife to me, she loves it as well. Man, y'all
Right.
good people, Chris.
But at
y'all
the
love it, but
I love. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, but no. What I'm saying is, I love sports, and but the thing is, I want to live too. And the thing is, you know, I mean, there are other things that I do. You know, like I said, I like to, you know, when sports on, I play my guitar. I try to play. I'm trying to play the funk, try to get the funk strumming thing down. But the thing is that, you know, it's not worth it, and I don't think they should play, and I don't think they should jeopardize their lives, because if they get it, even if they overcome it, I'm wondering what the long-term effects will it be on even if you're in great shape. I wonder what the long-term effects are going to be. So, anyway, yeah. So,
Chris, I say one more thing, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make it real quick, Chris. Yeah, because like Dr. Paul said, a sport like football, how can you have separation, man? You tackling people, you tackling quarterback, the running back, the receiver, you hitting people, you sweating. I mean, if any sport, I mean, baseball might have a certain little amount of separation, but football, come on, basketball the same way. You rebounding, you up against the basket. I mean, how do you have any separation, man? It's just crazy. I mean, but anyway, Chris, thanks for your time, brother. Keep up the good work, Chris, and give Sister Denise my best.
I will do that. Thank you. We got before I get to Daryl, we're going to talk some Sixers. We're going to change gears and talk some Sixers. I want to bring in Maurice from North Philadelphia. Maurice, go ahead.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing, man?
Got two questions in a statement. My first question is, what do you think about the Pac-10 and the Big Ten and the Pac-12 football players, athletes standing up, and they list of demands?
Yeah.
And the second question is, what sports institution in Philly put more young African American men and boys and girls into college, and also our white counterparts, and they create professional jobs all across the country, across the globe.
You talking about what? You talking about the public league in terms of?
No, not even schools.
Right.
Exclude the schools. This institution putting more young black men and women in college, also our white counterparts. And they have from that program, they have them spread all across the globe.
Boys and girls clubs?
No, it's right there in Philadelphia. Though. Not a boys and girls club. And this program was significant because it was history. When we go all the way back to people like Jack Clayton. Jack Clayton was the referee. Zach Clayton. He was the referee in the Muhammad Ali and George Foreman fight. Are
you talking about the police athletic leagues?
No, sir.
Okay.
I want the Sunny Hill League.
Oh, Sunny Hill.
Sunny Hill and Baker League.
Okay, yeah, right.
Got their start at. A lot of NBA referees got their start in the Sunny Hill and Baker League.
Okay.
And then a lot of the players and management across the country and the globe come out of the Sunny Hill League.
Okay.
And they grew to managers and coaches and professionals all across in Europe and all over.
Okay.
Philadelphia played a significant major role in the NBA from the 50s and up.
Okay. Well, that's, absolutely. Matter of fact, I spoke to Sonny a couple of weeks ago for a story that I'm writing for the Sunday Sun. But the thing is that, I think at the end of the day, we really have to, just watch, how we allow our kids to play, because I don't want to see anybody get hurt in all this or get that virus. That virus is no joke, and that's worse than any other thing. But you're right, Sonny has done a lot. Sonny and other people have done a lot in this community to get kids, to steer kids into playing sports. And I'm wondering what's going to happen to the kids in this community if you're not playing any sports. Because I wonder what the psychological effects are going to be. Let me, before I get, thanks for the call, Maurice. I got to move forward. I got to bring my guest in, Daryl Bell from the Philadelphia Tribune. Before I get to Daryl, though, real quick, I'm getting some people on the Facebook page. We got Kendrick saying, I know most of you don't care about soccer, but because most of those countries shut down, it's one of the few sports that's going on now, and he's right. But that's because, you're right, those countries dictate precautions. We, in this country, did not. Because, and I don't care, I know people don't like me going to politics, but the president of the United States is an idiot. I'm the first one to say it, and he's an absolute idiot. And I hope he's listening somehow, because I am calling him an idiot for not taking the precautions that we needed. We needed a national response. It has been helter-skelter, scatterbrained, and which is why, some of these leagues, I mean, the NBA, to their credit, really, I think, has done a better job than anybody else. But I wonder if they're going to finish their season. We hope so, but at the first thing, they got to keep people safe. And we also have someone wants me to talk about tennis. So I do talk about tennis. As a matter of fact, Serena Williams is playing, and her sister Venus are playing in a tournament somewhere. I was talking to Melissa Lawrence Corporate, who's been a guest on this show, and she has a book out called Serena Williams, Tennis Champion, Cultural Heroine. It's called Tennis Champion, Sports Legend, and Cultural Heroine. And you should read that book. And again, we will be talking about tennis as all those sports come up. And I think the U.S. Open is going to be played this year as well. So we'll see what's happening. Now, coming on in, I am going to talk about sports on the court. We got Darryl Bell. Mr. Bell. Darryl, how are you, man? Oh, yeah. Huh? Oh, I got to go to break? Okay. We got to go to break right now. But Darryl, when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to keep you on a little bit to talk about the Sixers. And ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Word Radio Digital Tip of the Week with Stephanie Humphrey.
I'm your Tech Life expert, Stephanie Humphrey, and this is your Word Digital Tip of the Week. Two-factor authentication, or two-step verification, is a security measure that requires you to provide additional information before you can log into a specific account online. You may have to enter a code that gets sent to you via text message or use an authenticator app. It's an extra step that might seem inconvenient, but it's there to keep you extra secure when you're shopping, banking, or connecting with others online using social media. Two-factor authentication is designed to keep you safe from unauthorized users trying to access your accounts, and it's definitely worth it. You can visit the different websites you use regularly and search the help section for security topics, ask a friend or relative to help you get set up, or type two-factor authentication plus the account you want to secure into Google. Any way you do it, adding another layer of protection to your online accounts is a good way to keep your information safe on the web. Stay tuned to WURD for more tech tips and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
The Word Digital Tip of the Week is brought to you by Comcast NBC Universal. This is Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
Or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back. We have Darryl Bell from the Philadelphia Tribune. Darryl, the Philadelphia 76ers are 3-1. And, in their first 4 games in the Orlando bubble. And I've watched all 4 games. I've looked at all 4 of those games thoroughly. There are some flaws with this team, and especially on the defensive end. What disturbed me most was that when they were playing two teams that were well coached, talking about the Pacers and the Spurs. Even though both of those teams aren't necessarily offensive juggernauts, they gave up 46 points in the fourth quarter in the loss to the Pacers. 43 in barely holding off San Antonio. In Orlando and Washington nobody cares about them. I mean, is the Sixers 3-1 record? Is it deceptive? And does Brett Brown still have to go in your mind?
First of all, good morning. 3-1 is exactly where they should be.
Right.
Really, I mean, they're not playing their best basketball, but really, who is? No one is playing. The Lakers just got knocked off. They're supposed to be unbeatable.
Right.
The Thunder I mean, this is an unknown. Basically, what you're looking at is like preseason basketball restarting.
Right.
And there are a lot of changes. In the Sixers case, they're worried about what they're going to do with Simmons. They're trying to talk like he's coming back. He's not coming back.
Yeah, not from that knee injury.
He's done. He's done. So they have to find someone else to give them that oomph. And it could be a Shake Milton. You hope it would be a guy like Thibault. You just don't know who that third person. They need someone because Embiid cannot do it alone.
I was going to say Tobias Harris has played well in some of the stretches I've seen him. I don't know if they would move him to the point, let him hold the ball and all that. I mean, that may not be his game, but
he's not that type of player.
Yeah.
He's not that type of player.
Right.
He's not a Jimmy Butler type who commands defenses to play him.
Right.
Harris can shoot, and that's basically what he's there for. He's just a shooter. He's not an all-around talent like Jimmy Butler.
Right.
He's missed Jimmy Butler.
Right.
This is showing more and more because if they had Jimmy Butler right now, they would really be clicking.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't have that guy with the oomph, but at the same time, I look at also the way Embiid has been playing well, and you're right, he can't do it by himself. But there are times in games when, sometimes he's not always there. I mean, the first half yesterday, now I know how people feel about NBA first halves, but, score 4 points. I mean, I think that if he wants to be a superstar in this league, if he really wants to be that kind of guy, he's got to come out with it every night, and I don't always see that from him.
Well, what he has to do, he has to dedicate himself. He has to get into shape. He has to be ready to go at all costs to be the best there is. There's too much kid inside of him.
Right.
Too much play. And he has to mature to a point to where, okay, big guy, we're going to ride you. Physically, there's no one in the league that can stop him.
Right.
But, he's not in shape, even though he's putting up nice numbers, but he's not in shape. You can look at that.
Yeah, you can. You're right.
A guy like him with his stature, can you imagine if he was cut the way LeBron James is cut?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We're talking definitely that they would be favorites for the final. But he's not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's got to stay away from Popeye's chicken and all that. But
I don't know if that's the problem.
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
I think the thing where he has to really dedicate himself to his craft.
Right.
He realized he's a professional, but he hasn't totally dedicated himself.
Right. No doubt about that. So, what do you think? I mean, we're still talking the coronavirus. The NFL, 67 players have opted out out of playing. The NFL is probably the most vulnerable to that coronavirus, more so than say the NBA. Do you think that the NBA has done a better job at handling this virus, or do we still have to kind of wait and see? It's been a week, and so and anything can happen. Someone could contract the virus, or a whole team could contract the virus, and maybe throw the season into a little bit of a tailspin. So, what do you think of how the NBA has managed to handle this crisis?
Let me throw something at you. And I'm going to go just with the major sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Right.
The one thing they've all had players test positive, but the one thing they haven't had?
What's that?
They haven't had a death because of coronavirus.
Right.
Now, when that happens, you're going to see a whole lot of different things change.
Right.
Until then, and I'm not trying to be like the Darth Vader or anything like that, but, realistically, the major sports have been very lucky. I think we all have lost friends and loved ones to this disease. So far, that hasn't happened in the major sports. And unfortunately, when it does happen, you're going to see a big change.
Right.
In a lot of things. I'm not a big fan of their opening up football, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they cannot keep them in a bubble. You're talking about 85 guys. You want to spin a bubble? Come on, that's not even a contact sport. That's not happening.
Yeah, that bothers me to no end. That whole football, because we've all played football, or some point in our lives, whether it's just in the backyard tackle or in boys' club and things of that nature. Football, is a contact sport where you're naturally going to breathe on somebody. You're going to, sometimes when somebody hits you hard enough, they'll knock the spit out of you, SPIT, and they'll just knock you, you sweat, especially if you're playing in Miami or Jacksonville or Tampa, at this time of the year, you are going to sweat. Do you see football finishing their season this year without any complications?
There are complications now.
Right.
They're just not overlooking them, They're trying to sell you on, hey, we're still in business, but you can't tell me the game hasn't changed. Look at what the SEC is doing. Look at what the Big Ten is doing. And look at what's happening here locally. Okay, you have the PIAA. All of a sudden, they want to delay the fall season till for 2 weeks. Come on, let's be real. You don't have a handle on this.
No, you don't.
And you can't even pretend that you do. The smartest people in this whole thing, the SWAC, was the smartest conference of all the collegiate conferences. They shut everything down, give it a resting period. We'll see what happens in the spring. We've got something lined up for the spring. The SWAC was the only one to do that.
Well, I think the MEAC and the CIAA, I think, shut down all their sports.
They shut down, but again, they didn't have a contingency plan.
Right.
The SWAC does. And it's good to see a black conference take the lead.
Right.
And I think that it's only a matter of time before some of our power conferences really examine what they're doing and decide to do the same thing.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, because as a society, we don't have any of the precautions that other countries put into place. Although we have the capability, but the commander-in-chief didn't put those things in place. And somebody, and on Facebook, a good friend of mine named Doug is telling me the players don't fit the demographic for COVID deaths. They probably, they're young and healthy. I get that aspect of it, but some people, I mean, there are a lot of players who have health complications, diabetes, and other, select physical conditions and whatnot. That's what I worry about. I mean, that's the thing. Granted, no player has died from this yet, and that's the big thing yet, because we don't, that's the key word, yet.
Well, they haven't. I mean, it's a hard thing, There are guys who have had the virus. Russell Westbrook, Gobert, out in Utah and what have you. The Sixers had people in their staff who had the virus, but not in the players or coaches.
Right.
Again, it's this thing, and that's all you say is a thing. They don't know. they're doing this by trial and error.
Mostly error.
They're trying to do the best they can.
Right.
This is not, no one is winning in this. I've had family members with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is no joke.
Right.
This is a very serious thing. Unfortunately, what can you do when people refuse to adhere to what's being said? You know, you're having a party, 100 people. I mean, come on. Is that enough when you didn't have the virus?
They had a twerk party, for what I understand, on the Jersey Shore. It was on Instagram. Now, why would you have a twerking party? That's trifling, but, you know.
Well, you had parties here in Philly.
Right.
So, I mean, and North Philadelphia, you had big, I don't know what you call them, just, hey, everybody come out and get off. I mean, it's crazy, and people have got to start paying attention. And if not, then they will be history and a mystery.
Okay. Well, Daryl, thanks for hanging with us today, and appreciate your insight. And by the way, great panel at the National Association of Black Journalists on racism in the press box, and that's a subject I like to bring up just separately. I like to bring some of those guys back here to talk about that. But definitely, you did a great job on that, and thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you, Chris. I mean, it's always a pleasure. The one thing, you talk about are the Sixers. Do you really feel confident that this is a championship team?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. So knowing that they're not a championship team, where do you begin to fix? Do you fix it at the head coach? Because he doesn't have championship players? I've always said that he's been a good babysitter because he has such a young team and what have you. But now they need to get players who are in their prime or reaching their prime
and hungry,
know what to do. I don't have anything against Al Horford. Al Horford's I love this dad.
Hey, Daryl, I gotta stop because we definitely got to go to break. But you're right. But we'll get back to you on that.
All righty.
All right, man.
Yeah.
You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun. Call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun.
RG Electrical Inspections provides electrical inspections for realtors, licensed electricians, and homeowners. RG is a certified plans examiner and licensed underwriter providing assistance for PICO outages. RG is also listed on PICO's website. RG Electrical Inspections is a licensed and insured underwriter serving Philadelphia and surrounding areas. Call if you have plans to review today. 267-902-1655.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at Forward. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back, and right now I'm going to kind of open things up from a sports perspective. What do you think of the Sixers? Will the Philadelphia 76ers get any better? We'll talk about the football season as well. The Philadelphia Eagles, even though Doug Peterson came down with the coronavirus himself, do you think that we should be playing football? And do you think that football will finish their season? Or tell me, who do you think is most likely? Will the NBA get to their season? And what are you thinking so far? And what do you think of the Sixers so far? So we got Fishman from University City. Fishman, what's happening, man? You gotta hook 'em to cook 'em and bomb 'em to fry 'em.
Hey, brother, you said it better than me.
Hey, but I got it from the master. What's happening?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. A little tired. I had an interesting week. I was at a virtual convention. I had to do a panel, and I had to interview an author who's been on this show actually. So I'm trying to maintain myself and stay healthy.
This virus is something, man. Everything is virtual. Everything is on Zoom. Thank God I still have a job.
Yeah, I say the same thing every day.
And I pray for those who are in the middle of this virus, the middle.
Right.
They don't know one way or the other. Sports.
Yeah.
Can I take you back? Are you an old roller derby fan?
Yeah, I watched roller derby back. Yeah, I remember the days of Judy Arnold and Little Richard Brown. I remember them.
Okay, stop right there.
Right.
Stop right there. Do you know I met Mr. Little Richard Brown working in security at the Embassy Hotel down by the airport in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania?
Really? Is that where I would love to bring him on the show.
I'll pull up his number. And I will try to get it to you.
Okay.
What happened was, I worked for this detective agency, and they said when you go down to the Embassy Suite Hotel down by the airport in Philadelphia,
right?
Mr. Richard Brown is the guy you have to see.
Is that right?
And I did 11 to 7.
Right.
11 at night, 7 in the morning.
Right.
I met him in about maybe 3 in the morning. Me and him did a tour of the hotel, and I'm checking him out.
Right.
There's only 2 James Browns I know. James Brown, the musician, and Little Richard Brown, the roller skate guy.
Right.
And he told me he was dapper. First of all, I want to say he was dapper.
Right.
He said, I'm Little Richard Brown. I said, no, you're not. He said, yes, I am. I said, from roller derby, Big Jim Trotter, Judy Arnold, and all of. He said, yep.
Wow. I mean, the thing about it, I never knew because it's like I think it was like the same team, but they changed the name. Like in Baltimore, they were the Baltimore Washington Cats, and they always played like the New York Bombers were like the bad guys. They always played the New York Bombers, and like I say again, I never quite understood. I think I understood how you scored points and you had to have the guy with the helmet. The guy with the helmet was the jammer. That's right. He was the one, and you had to kind of get around the whole pack. We got to go like a lap around the pack or something, and then that's how you score points or something like that. Because it was a 3, 4 Warrior points, because it was also the Warriors and all the teams that they had. So, but that's interesting because everybody watched that on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning. You either watched it before you went to church, or it came on before Soul Train, where I was.
Yes. And guess what? Days going by, I remember the good days of just fun sports and people having fun. I can remember the first time my mother and father bought us roller skates.
Right.
What about you?
I remember, I remember with the skate key. You remember the skate key? You had to take the little skate key and clamp them down and everything. You remember the skate key, right? Or did you get? Because I always wanted the ones with the shoes that you put on, But we went roller skating with a little skate key and put them on our shoes.
All right, brother. I ain't gonna hold you, man. I just wanted to take us back to the days when we had fun.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fishman. Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia. What's happening, brother?
I am Chris Murray. Hey, listen, Little Richard Brown was my neighbor.
Really? He's your neighbor?
He's my neighbor, man. When we lived up in West Philly, right over Baltimore Avenue. I'm not gonna say the street, but we were there.
Yeah.
And he was like our big brother. And then we used to go over to Jim Trotter store on 52nd Street.
Oh, okay.
They're all, look, that was a very popular sport here in Philadelphia. Everybody just loved that because, at the old arena where the Enterprise Center is, it was that and wrestling was the number one sport here in Philadelphia as far as I was concerned as a kid. I was into the basketball and all that, but just as a regular person, that was the conversation. But I'm going to talk to you about something more serious.
Okay.
The Oakland A's coach.
Okay.
Has you been brought up already?
No, but I can look that up. I've been more or less concentrating on some things locally here.
Oh, I understand the stop at the sports. I see that way in the beginning that there should be no sports. So people just catching up to what I was talking about because it just makes common sense. Dr. Paul knows it all, but I talked about it before. There's no way we're going to stop this virus anytime soon because they're just waiting to collect the money from the drug. That's what's really going on. So. That's my theory. But the Oakland A's, because I think his last name is Christian, 40-year-old coach, goes out on the field and gives the Heil Hitler sign.
What? Now that I did not hear about.
Now wait a minute. A player walked by, and I thought the player was knocking his arm down like, "Don't you do that," right?
Right.
But come to find out that the player was telling him you're not doing it right, so he turns around and does it the opposite way.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
And listen, we all heard about LaShawn Jackson and the Nick Cannon getting the goat face.
Right.
What is baseball going to do about it? Because they're trying to keep it as quiet as possible.
Is that right?
You can go and Google it, and it'll come up. Oakland A's coach gives the Hitler sign. It's all over YouTube.
Yeah, because it says that I just pulled up the story that he's apologizing profusely for giving the Nazi Hitler thing. It was a guy named Ryan Christensen, and he apologized on Thursday. Yeah, I mean, no one should ever do that because I know a lot of people in the Jewish community are offended, but as a black person, I'm offended by it because Hitler hated black people too. And
but this is the biggest thing, Chris.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming
from. The biggest thing is.
Yeah.
Where is the loud noise from the Jewish community? Why me, as a black man, got to report that? That should be all through your ear right now.
Right.
Why is they keeping it so quiet? Because he's a white man?
Something? You make a great point because I do think that when somebody does that, you know, it's really a big thing, and I think that, you know, there's something that Brother Joe from Germantown brought up last week. Yeah, there is kind of that double standard, and like I said again, you've heard me on this air condemn it across the board, condemn that thing across the board. I don't like to offend anybody.
Yeah, but this is the main point of that.
Right.
What makes a guy so comfortable that he has a great job, a job that we would pray and die to get?
Right.
To play a kid's sport and still get paid. If he in his 40s is still collecting a paycheck, he feels so comfortable with America that he can do that.
Right.
See, that's the point. It ain't that he did it,
right,
but that he felt so comfortable to do it, being on national TV or whatever TV they got covering that game.
Right.
See, this is the mindset we're worrying about. It ain't Donald Trump. It's the mindset
of the country. Yeah, I would agree. That I agree with wholeheartedly, because I'm at a point where I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. You know, we just saw a whole family being, you know, placed down on the ground, a whole family full of kids, and somehow what makes this country so comfortable that we can insult people and do things of this nature? We've got to stop this.
Because they fear no retaliation. See, that's the thing. If we really felt the retaliation that we get when we jaywalking,
right,
or barbecuing,
right,
or anything like that, the retaliation we get, but they know that it's not a big thing to them, and they look at us and other people, and I can say us.
Right.
Now, where's the Jewish community? Now, a lot of the owners are Jewish.
Right.
So how is this man should have been fired immediately? He should have been on the first thing smoking, but they still look like they in the debate thing.
Right.
They ain't no allowing to apologize. That's like telling the Jewish community, here's the middle finger.
Yeah.
So why is he still talking to him? He should be right now unemployed.
Right.
So these are the facts that, you know, when a lot of people call your show,
right.
I know a lot of people try to revolutionize your show, and I have to admit, I'm one of them.
No.
What I'm saying is, we cannot allow this stuff. Now, we as the black community, now that the Jewish want to get on us about us saying stuff that they consider untrue or anti-Semitic, now we need to get on them. It's like, what are you going to do?
Right.
That this man has done this to you. What is your retaliation since you think it's okay to do anything to us? Got us going on an apology tour.
Right.
But this man does it, and you're trying to sweep it under the cover.
Yeah, we gotta stop. I mean, we gotta deal with this across the board. Racism is wrong. I don't care who does it. I don't care if that's, you know, if you know, like I say again, and you're right, you know, if they're gonna get on us, and like I said again, if I'm gonna get on, you know me, I'm gonna get on everybody about it. I'm gonna get on everybody, and I think at the end of the day, someone should have really said something. But of course, but it does speak to what kind of a culture do we have in this country where we can just, you know, we just feel comfortable to hate each other. What is it about?
I want to end with this.
Yes.
The only way. See, you know, our civil rights leaders and people in sports, especially sports, have made the ultimate sacrifices in our name.
Right.
Now, we don't have to go through the pain they go through, but if we control our money and say, no, we're not buying that, we're not going there.
Right.
That's how we can get what we want. If all people decide, you know what, this weekend, nobody's shopping Center City.
Right.
Right then and there, you're going to get a reaction. They're going to want to talk to us. What is going on?
Right.
Because not only is it tax money, but it's also keeping them business afloat.
Right.
Now, it has to happen together, but we're not willing to make the sacrifice. We don't want to do a whole lot of talking.
Right.
And talk about what city council person or whatever city official we got in our pocket.
Right.
But when it comes to, you got to understand, when them guys walked across that bridge in summer, they put on, that might have been their only suit or their only best dress they had.
Right.
Take a butt whipping.
Right.
They knew they was going to get hurt.
Right.
Where's our courage? We want to talk about getting guns and we don't need the police and all this. But guess what? Ain't no stronger and no more prouder people that I admire than somebody's willing to go out there and take a beating for me. And we better understand that some of us got to take a beating to get things right. We're not always going to be with the hands up in the air. Sometimes a loss is a win, and we got to understand that. So I'm going to leave you with that.
Right. No truer words have ever been spoken. Thank you, Maurice. Madeline Dunn from Overbrook.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you know, every time I come a call, I say, I'm not a sports fan. But I love your work, brother. Love your work.
You love my work. Okay.
Number two. Oh, God, I forgot what you may say. Oh, it was O. That's why John Lewis is one of my favorite people. John Lewis knew. He was 15 when he heard the Emmett Till story.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That woke that whole generation up. Yep.
And he didn't believe it. And it did come true that the woman who lied on him before she died, she told the truth. That boy didn't even look at her, which is what made her mad. He hadn't even looked at her, and she told a lie. And you know how they murdered him.
Yeah.
And that piece, he was 15. It made such an impact that he decided, and I remember that's the year my Rodney was born.
Right.
He's now 65 years old.
Uh-huh.
Well, let me tell you, I have not shed as many tears as I did for him.
Mm-hmm.
When my son was murdered, I was 40 years to stop them hot flowing tears.
I'm sorry to hear that,
You think you're going to have blisters on your face, but you don't.
Right.
And even when I lost my mom and dad, and then my darling husband 20 years ago,
right,
I didn't have those kind of tears. I had it again. It's something about that touches the core of your being. And the other things do too. But to voluntarily say that we need this change so much, I'm going to give it up if I have to give it up. Oh, and he did say in one of the speeches, the one that he gave that they put in the New York thing the day after the funeral, he talked about going down to a used suit sale,
right,
and buying a suit for $5.
Wow.
Because he wanted to look right. I just love him. The extreme sacrifices. And now we got kids running around killing each other.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work with that in the neighborhood by just talking about how we need to change, and we just got to show our children our love. We can't let them guess that we love them. And if you don't want a child, and if you and him together didn't make that decision, don't have it. That's my personal opinion. I'm going to be 87 soon.
Okay.
The child needs both parents, and he needs you both to love him and tell him and show them how wonderful they can be, because you're teaching them. If you ain't doing nothing but wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, having babies, you ain't doing nothing but being a milestone around the neck of these children. You setting them up for the penitentiary, along with the other dirty work that goes on in the school systems and all the systems in this area, in the world, really.
Right.
But what they do with our kids. Okay. Thank you, darling, for letting me finish.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're going to break. Okay. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WRD, Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. He'll be right back.
Support independent black media and join the 4WORD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Change, change, change.
I've spent my life working for change. Now my grandchildren are doing the same. I'm proud. Our work must include completing the 2020 census. Why does it matter? Well, undercounted communities could miss out on billions in funding each year for health care, schools, and job assistance. Respond online today or answer when a census taker knocks. They'll be wearing masks and following local safety guidelines.
It's not too late. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Man, that's my roller skating song, man. I feel like getting me a pair of skates and just doing my little dance. Probably fall all over the place, but hey, I'll give it a shot. All right, so who we have? We have Spread Love from Philly. Spread love. Spread some love, Philly.
God bless my brother Chris Murray. I'm only working to follow your example as far as spread love is concerned. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. It's a lot cooler than it was, say, last week and everything, but... You know, but everything, it's all good. I'm just chilling, man. What's happening?
Give thanks. It's a cooler temperature, but it's a hotter environment. First and foremost, give thanks for you and your show.
Thank you.
Yeah, likewise, my brother. Thank you, Elder. In utmost respect. Give thanks for our brother DJ Frosty Phoenix, Eric Nixon on the boards. One of the hardest working brothers in the business and exemplary.
No doubt about it.
You know what I mean? Give thanks for the WRD family. And, of course, God bless all the victims. Our hearts are with them. Hearts, thoughts, and prayers. And everyone working to make it better. God bless us all to get it together. But especially God bless all the hurricane victims. Especially all our brothers and sisters in Southwest that got flooded out. Thankful it's not as hot as it was, so they don't got to suffer as much. But it's so may we keep them in mind. You know what I mean?
Got you. No, you're absolutely right about that. You know, that storm last week was no joke. I mean, in where I live, it really got bad. It really, the water, I mean, I saw flooded waters last week.
I remember Noah had an ark.
That's true. I thought I saw him.
Hey, did you 2x2?
Yeah.
Clean animals by 7?
Yeah, something like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Thankfully, John gave us the rainbow to say he wasn't going to destroy the earth by water no more. But we better watch out for the fire and brimstone. We don't get ourselves together.
That's probably true. You're probably right.
But I ain't write the book, but give thanks. God bless me to read it. And Brother Chris Murray, I don't mean even be this long-winded. It's my gray hairs. I apologize. But I was going to say, do you remember not too long ago on the news they showed an entire school class picture? All the students giving the Heil Hitler sign. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I was saying that I'm not insulting nobody. I'm not knocking nobody. I just keep wondering why we keep being shocked after 400 years of seeing the same thing. This is not aberrant behavior.
Right.
Not a personality flaw. This is deliberate. This is the game plan to keep us in quote-unquote check so they can keep getting checks from living off of us. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, in other words, you got is a whole divide and conquer people. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Not really divide and conquer, but like vampires. We are their food.
Oh, okay. I mean? Yeah.
And that's just how I set up in the system from day one. So in order to keep us as their food, they got to treat us a certain way. Otherwise, you know how you got to pave the cement every year where nature breaks through?
Uh-huh.
Black people worldwide. The moment they stop paving us, we're going to shake them off like dandruff.
Okay.
You feel me? But now check this out. We catch it regarding the double standard because they have a vested interest in keeping us deceived and down. That's why we catch it. That's why when we expose the truth about the Israelites being black, you know what I mean? That's when they really hone in on us.
Okay. All right. Well, we got to. Okay. Let me think. We got to move on to caller. We've got Sonny from South Philly.
Well, thanks for taking my call, Chris Murray.
Thank you.
Wonderful show.
Okay.
And I just want to call out a caller. A caller. He always says Chris Murray, but a wonderful caller. And the caller just left is beautiful. Maurice.
Right.
When Maurice call, hey, Maurice don't bring no grief. He opens your head. And I've heard about this Hitler salute and everything.
Yeah.
But you know what? They put that in school about not being a bully. You got grown-up people that are in leaderships are bullies. I'm talking about people that's leading this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're bullies. And so far as the so-called Jewish people, the only thing I remember back in the day, they just say Jew, because my mother worked for them, so I'm going to work for the Jew. But now they come with Jewish.
Well,
I mean, could I just say something?
Go ahead, Dad. I mean,
I got a shirt. It's brownish. It's not all brown. Brownish, kind of brownish.
Okay.
I say like this here. Like they got blackish. I mean, the way how they act on there, I don't even like that shit.
Okay. My question: what point are you trying to make in this situation? What's your point?
I love when Maurice brought that up.
Okay.
Because you know what it is. You're a chess player, right?
Yes, I'm sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not.
Okay.
Could you play without pawns?
No, you can't play without pawns.
Well, we the pawns, and they always come down to beat us. I heard a guy told me they was trying to get papers. He said, "Well, I'm Jewish."
Okay. Well, here's the deal. How can I put this? It says something really bad about our country that we just have this divide with races, that racism is so pervasive, so systemic, and so part of the American culture that it nauseates me to no end. It just does. Even when, on all sides of it, because somehow we diminish the fact that we're human, and we diminish our own, humanity when we disparage another group, based on whatever. And should that coach have been punished and admonished, and maybe that coach needs to tour a slavery museum, a Holocaust museum, or a museum where people are, or the Native Americans, people who are here. We have got to stop it when it comes in sports, and it says something really bad about our American culture. And I think that because the person on top, the president, was not hesitate and expressing his own racist views, and it's been going on really long before the current president. But I think that we're a little bit shocked at it because we like to think that we have made steps, but it's really indicative of how far we have to go on both ends, all ends. And the thing is, for African Americans have experienced the brunt of that, and we've experienced the brunt of that in the sense that we're hurt, and sometimes that hurt translates into our own prejudices, our own, like, if when you've been attacked so many times, you're going to lash out. I don't care who you are. Somebody degrades you, for over a long period of time, you're going to feel that sense of hate. I mean, it's almost understandable. People like Dr. King have tried to tell us to rise above it. It's hard, okay? And I'm not justifying and saying that it's right, but a lot of that, when we react back with our own prejudices, we tend, that's hurt. That's more or less anger and hurt. It's somewhat like you beat a child and whatnot, then he goes out and he beats his own child. That hurt, and he thinks that's a normal thing. And we've got to, and it's not all on black people. It ain't black people's fault. Black people have reacted to the racism that exists in the society. Okay, and sometimes we lash out in ways that aren't necessarily comfortable to a lot of people. Okay, and that's fine. I understand it, but I also believe that at some point, you just can't. The stopping of it has to occur throughout the society, and I pray that at some point, maybe it takes the election of Joe Biden. I don't know if that's going to be the end-all, be-all, but I hope that we can, just get into this and just stop this thing, man, because it really is really gnawing against this country, and I like to think that America, the promise that they put in the Declaration of Independence, says that all men are created equal, that we can really live up to that. And that's the thing. So, but that's one thing I have to say about it. But now, but coming back to sports, I still want to spend this time talking about the 76ers, how good they are, how bad they are, and how they need to start bringing their A game. They play, I think, Portland on Sunday. I want to say Portland. And then after that, the Toronto Raptors. Let me tell you something. The Toronto Raptors in the NBA are playing like they're the defending world champions, even without Kawhi Leonard. Fred VanVleet, and of course, and of course, our guy, and I'm having, and Kyle Lowry. Boy, I thought I was having another senior at the moment, but Kyle Lowry, all-star, they're leading that team. And that kid is one of the toughest kids that I've ever seen play the sport, and especially coming out of this area where you got a lot of great players, but he is one tough cookie. And so Toronto is going to make a statement in the Eastern Conference against Milwaukee. But the Sixers, what concerns me about your 76ers is, what concerns me about the Philadelphia 76ers is the fact that I like to see them to be more, I like to see more consistency, especially out of Joel Embiid. We don't know when we're getting Ben Simmons back. We don't know when the Sixers are getting. I'm not on the team. Sometimes I slip into that. But the thing is, I want to see you want to see the Sixers do well. But that 3-1, start is good on one hand because they are not, they're not 1-3. But at the same time, there are some terrible flaws in their game. They really, when they draft next year, need a point guard, a real point guard, since Ben Simmons is not going to necessarily work on getting his jumper. He did try a 3-point bucket in the game against the Wizards the other day, on Wednesday, but until this team realizes that they have to play the full 48 minutes, I wonder where this team is going to go. We got who do we have here? Oh, I'm sorry. BG from Germantown.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Chris?
I'm doing okay.
Whatchamacallit, Philly's, the guy from Philly, Danny Garcia, is going to get a shot at the world title. He's fighting Earl Spence in November.
Really? When did that come off?
I know. I think I saw it on the boxing website that they signed it for November. What makes the fight interesting is the fact that Earl Spence was in a real bad car accident, and this is his first fight back.
Right.
I was kind of shocked to see him taking on, he's not really taking a tune-up fight. That means he doesn't think too highly of Garcia. To me, I would be insulted if I was Garcia because, Garcia's a solid contender, formidable.
Oh, Garcia's a hell of a fighter. I like Garcia. Guy can punch. The guy can hang with anybody in the sport. And so I like to see that fight, but I wonder what Errol Spence's condition is. And whoever wins that fight they need to call on Terrence Crawford, because everybody's touting him. He's one of Bob Arum's guys, and they're touting him to be the best pound for pound welterweight in that division. And so I want to see a little bit I want to see more of Terrence Crawford. But that's going to be but all things equal, Errol Spence and Garcia, that's going to be a fight. That's going to be a war. I think
so. I think it should be an interesting fight. I would, if it wasn't for the car accident, I would probably make Spence. I would think he would win. I think, but because he's coming off the car accident, it's the unknown factor. We don't know if he's going to be the same guy. So that's what makes the fight interesting to me.
Right.
As far as Terrence Crawford, Terrence Crawford really doesn't have the resume to say he's the best fighter. And the problem with Crawford is
they're touting him as that. I mean, you're probably right, but because I don't think he's fought any of the other guys that are in the division right now, and so that's going to be an interesting fight. But go on, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I blame him. I blame Crawford for making a bad move. I give example. I'm gonna compare him to Bernard Hopkins. When Bernard Hopkins was on the outside looking in the middleweight division, and Don King had Trinidad, Joppy, Keith Holmes, and all that guy, he set up a tournament, and Bernard Hopkins signed with Don King to get the opportunity to fight them guys, and he beat every last one of them, and that's when his legend took off. With Terrence Crawford, he had the same opportunity. His contractors cup. He knows all the best welterweights: Pacquiao, Spence, Porter, Garcia. All his competition was with the PBC. So I didn't understand, why would you re-sign with Bob Arum when you know all the fighters that now he knows the politics of boxing? He's probably not going to get these fights now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys. That are out there to fight. I mean, in terms of the welterweights, I was looking at Sean Porter. I was looking at Kell Brook. I mean, there's a lot of good fighters out there, and the welterweight might be one of the best. I would say one of the best divisions in boxing right now. Without a doubt. And the thing is, I want to see these guys fight each other, but everybody's touting Terrence Crawford as this guy, and you're right. Who has he? I mean, has he really fought anybody? I mean, that's the thing that a lot of people want to know, is that if you're going to, has he fought Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao?
Well, that's what I said. See, he had the opportunity to make the fights happen, but he re-signed with Bob Arum when he knew all the competitive fights for him was with PBC. And the way boxing is set up now, it's going to be hard to make them fights. If he would have signed with PBC, he would have had the chance to fight Thurman, Pacquiao, Porter, Spence, Garcia, because they're all there. So I didn't understand who advised him to sign with Bob Arum. It was a dumb move.
Yeah, I mean, a lot, years ago, I covered a fighter here based out of Philadelphia who signed with Arum. And for some reason, he had issues with, first of all, the person he signed I think he's a Hebrew Israelite, and he couldn't fight on Saturday or during the Sabbath.
That was the guy Thompson, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was Anthony Thompson.
Anthony Thompson.
That was Anthony Thompson. Yeah. That's right. I just thought about that. But the thing about it, I had the sense as he was trying to come up that it was just taking a slower process. And because I thought, and then he took a fight, as I remember it, and he lost because I think he had gone on some type of diet or something. I think he became a vegan or vegetarian type of diet or something like that. And it was
I remember that. He got real weak from that, they said.
Yeah, he got kind of weak and lost to a guy he probably should have beat.
Right.
And from that standpoint, and he was one of Bob Arum's fighters, and so maybe somebody didn't think he was going to be a moneymaker. I mean, I don't know all the...
I think he was mismanaged to a degree.
Yeah.
Because he seemed like a talented fighter, but
yeah.
I remember him vividly, and he didn't seem to have the best camp around him, and that makes all the difference a lot of times.
Right. No, and you're probably right. Like I said, I don't know all the politics behind that, but like I say again, you gotta fight guys. Like I say, Keith Thurman. Although, like I say again, Keith Thurman lost to Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman lost that fight to Manny Pacquiao. You still want to fight these guys. I mean, Pacquiao's still a solid fighter, even at an older age. So you want to see certain fights. You want to see. I'd love to see him fight Sean Porter. Sean Porter is a tough cookie.
Oh, that would be a great fight. You know what the thing is? I'm amazed by how we get nostalgic. I can't believe anybody is interested in this Roy Jones, Mike Tyson farce. To me, both guys...
I thought it was an exhibition, though. I thought it was, just a couple of...
hyping it like it's going to be an actual fight where they're going to... But I just can't... people, like... I hear people, they're talking like these guys are still relevant. They haven't been relevant for a long time.
They're old.
Yeah, man.
They're old. They're old as sin. And the thing about it... that's the thing that bothers me, because boxing does more to shoot itself in the foot
than any other sport. Yeah,
I swear, boxing, because believe it or not, even though UFC is always on, UFC is still at that point where it's a niche sport. People don't get into UFC the way they get into boxing. At least, it's still that's the impression that I get of UFC, and I'm not going to disparage UFC. I am a boxing fan, but I'm not going to disparage UFC. But boxing, people still love boxing. You just gotta put it out there. Guys gotta fight each other.
Well, that's the problem. The UFC model has been more successful because one guy owns it, Dana White, so he can make the fights. Whereas in boxing, you got Golden Boy, you got the PBC, you got Bob Arm, you got that DAZ, that network. You got all these different. Too many hands are in the pot, so the fights aren't being made. So that's why UFC is actually winning, because you got a whole new generation of kids who are growing up on that. More so than boxing, you know what I mean?
That's true. Hey, look, I got to get ready to go to break, and thanks for the call. But you're right about boxing, man. Boxing does more to kick itself in the butt. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WRD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, independent black media.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at forward. WURD TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. I guess we lost Walter, but we have Steve from Hainesport. Steve, our old school Cowboys fan, right?
The unknown Cowboys fan.
Unknown.
Hey, real quick, you know what I wanted to bring up real quick? You've been bringing up like athletes and politics and you know their views on the world. Here's an athlete that many people forgotten. And I always thought outside of Jim Brown, he was probably the greatest running back I ever seen. Remember Dwayne Thomas?
Of course I mean, man, Dwayne Thomas in Super Bowl VI? Yeah, of course I do.
You remember how controversial he was? He went in there and tried to change the Cowboy. I saw him on ESPN one time when they did the show, and he went up to Bob Lilly. It was funny when he said that.
Right.
He said, hey, Bob, he said, how much money are you making, Bob? And Bob said, and back in those days, he was making $22,000. And he says, what? He says, $22,000. He says, Merlin Olsen and Deacon is making around $75,000. He said, what kind of plantation they running here? And he said that the Cowboys made it so that the athlete there was obligated to want to play for them for low money. And remember, they got rid of him. I think it was for marijuana. He was smoking marijuana one time. They got caught or something like that.
Yeah.
But he would be a good athlete to bring on and ask about the changing in the NFL. Because I always thought he was one of the athletes that tried to change it. But, they blackballed him out of there.
Yeah, Dwayne Thomas, he was famous in that Super Bowl where he really, during Super Bowl, week, all the reporters chased after him. And his only quote of that week was, "What time is it?" And then I remember Tom Brookshire, I saw that interview even as a kid. Tom Brookshire said, "Were you really going that fast?" Because Jim Brown was with him, and he said, and he looked at Tom Brookshire and he said, "Evidently." And that was just like, wow, one word.
But see,
he was something. But I think that masked the fact that, yes, the Cowboys were notorious. The Dallas Cowboys. I know a lot of people like the Cowboys, but the Cowboys were.
I like them.
Yeah, but they were notorious for. You're right. It was kind of I guess, and it wasn't just the black players too, but they tried to lowball everybody, and the only person that really made money was Roger Staubach, and that's because Staubach was just. Staubach was just a, star outside the game. But, the thing about it is that Landry did a lot of good things, but Landry was a great coach and an innovator, but somehow Landry didn't know how to talk to those guys or inspire those guys, man, in my opinion. And Landry, and a lot of times they lost games because maybe they needed their coach to show, like, the difference between him and Lombardi. Lombardi kicked his players in the butt, but Lombardi loved his players, and Lombardi told him he loved them, and
that's right.
And sometimes as much as I like the Cowboys in those '70s years, they at times it was something about them that just said that they were robots and not. And basically, Dwayne Thomas once called the Cowboys Landry's humanoids and whatnot.
That's right.
And so,
that's right.
He was one of the guys. Like Thomas Henderson, spoke out too, and they got him off the team. So it's a lot of stories there. So, well, I gotta move. Okay. I definitely gotta move on. But
thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, Walter. Walter, what's up, man?
Afternoon to you, big guy. I love your show. Love your topics. And to fulfill your main topic, you're asking about the NBA's Philadelphia 76ers.
Of course.
I'm loving Alex Burke, and I love Shake Milton. And I think it's a good experiment, unfortunately, with Ben Simmons out with the knee. The knee injury that he has, the kneecap injury that he has. This will be a good sampler going into next year, I think. How about what you think, big guy?
Well, my thing is, I liked how Shake Milton came back from the Indiana game, because what happened, him and Embiid got into it on the bench.
Yeah.
And he didn't score any points, but he came back and really helped to commandeer the Sixers to that win over the Spurs late in that game. And the thing is, he's played well. He played well yesterday, against Orlando. He hit his shots, and the guy like Alex Burke did step up yesterday. But don't you think that not Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, sometimes that guy, sometimes he like in the loss to the Pacers, he scored 41 points. When he wants to be dominant.
Yeah.
When he wants to be dominant, he could be a great player. The problem is that, dude, you got to bring it every night and every quarter.
Yeah.
You got to bring it. You're the superstar.
It's not about the quantity, but the quality. He has to give us the effectiveness, and that's my concern. You think it's coaching?
I would say it's coaching, but the thing about it, I think that Brett Brown, I'm starting to see some things. 46 points in the fourth quarter against Indiana, 43 against San Antonio, and I don't count the Wizards and the Magic. They're phoning it in. And so, and so from that standpoint, it's like, dude, you know, you this team, and that's where coaching comes in. They've got to want it on defense. Because sometimes what happens in fourth quarters of a game, like against Orlando, I mean, you know, you got to be up on them by 15 points by the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Same thing with Washington. Those guys, they're 20-something games below 500.
Yeah,
okay.
They had less. They didn't have all their stars here.
Right.
Game two.
They didn't have Beal and Wall. They didn't have Beal or Wall.
Yeah.
And so
still couldn't beat them by a double digit.
Right, and they couldn't shake them late in the game. And so when they have to play and all these are neutral sites now. But they got to play Toronto, who's been playing really well. They are really, really good.
They're coaching. That little guy can coach.
Yeah. And you have to play Milwaukee's going to be there. Boston is still a great team. You know, when you got, as a matter of fact, they would have to play Boston's the third seed. They would have to play Boston in that round. And you know, that's the thing. You know, that's the thing you worry about with this team. Will they show? Which Joel Embiid will show up? And then you hope that Ben Simmons comes back. But I still think that whether Ben Simmons is playing in the low post or playing in the backcourt, he's got to develop a shot. He still has to. And I know he gets mad. Oh, everybody's trying to, you know. He gets mad about it, Walter, but you know what? You got to, this is the NBA. You got to make the adjustment. You can't rely solely on athleticism for the rest of your career.
Nope. And he's not. I think Ben Simmons is a good ball player. He can become a great basketball player and all. He's not your everyday point guard. He's got to make everybody else look good and get everybody involved. And, I wouldn't trade him for the record, I'd like the idea of switching them, but he tried, like you say, he tried that other 3-point shot, and it rattled around the rim and all. They got some long days ahead. 2021 is going to be challenging.
Right.
I want to close with this, and I'll hang up after this one. Yeah, one of your Facebook reps, Denise Davis, I forgot her last name and all. She asked the ultimate question. As we go into this high school issue and all, what are your thoughts? And I'll close with this: just the fact that the 2019 and 2020 high school senior athletes and all, they won't really get a chance to quote earn a athletic scholarship because they won't get a chance to be recruited and all of that because high school football, basketball is like up in the air in major high school areas nationwide. What are your thoughts on that, big guy?
Yeah, well, it's a shame, but COVID-19, man. I mean, that's something that's not their fault. We got one more call I want to squeeze in real quick. Reverend Joe from Mount Airy.
Good evening, good morning, or afternoon. I wanted to say that the Dallas Cowboys was a very racist organization. Had a big money hole back in them, and they were sending those little girls to school way when they were kids. If the long hair was blonde and white, to be cheerleaders. That whole thing was all scripted, almost like Hollywood or something. I don't know if you knew that, but they trained those young kids for years. ahead of time just to become cheerleaders with that team.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, you know, I think that more or less people like the Cowboys because they like the players, but the organization historically, I mean, they spy on their players. I mean, they, you know, a lot of people in that organization hated certain people in that franchise. And, you know, Skip Bayless, of all people, wrote a book about the Cowboys. And some of the things that I read in that book were interesting. But I think that, I mean, the Cowboys have always had, the Cowboys, you know, I mean, the whole America's team thing was created by NFL Films and maybe some cooperation with the Cowboys, but the Cowboys have always had a tough time, you know, always was always hard on their players, black players, mostly the black players, but, you know, the white players too. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, that the music says that we are out of time. In fact, I want to thank our guests today, Darrell Bell, Dr. Paul Hopkins, and you, the listener. Thanks for making this another great weekend for me here on the show. So we'll see you next week on the Chris Murray Report on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, and streaming live on Facebook. We'll see you next week.
No reply. No reply.